If you are a web developer using React or Next.js for production or personal project, then you need to listen. If your package.json file contains React, React DOM, and especially React Server DOM Webpack, and you are running React versions 19.0, 19.1.0, 19.11, or 19.2.0, in that case, your React server is vulnerable. And also similar to React, if you're running older versions of Next.js, these versions as shown on screen are also vulnerable. You need to upgrade to the latest version so that you don't get attacked. The name of the vulnerability is React to Shells. It allows full remote code execution vulnerability that is rated 10.0, the highest possible critical score. Many hackers are scanning the internet and trying to exploit the servers that don't have the patched versions. They are just exploiting the servers, installing crypto miners, or stealing data. So, upgrading is very essential for this. So, how is this vulnerability working? The vulnerability lies in how React handles communication between the server and the client using React Server components. The communication happens over something called as the React Flight Protocol. Don't worry if you are hearing Flight Protocol for the first time. It's simply the internal protocol that React uses to serialize and transfer data between the server components and the client. In short, this flight protocol is basically used in communication between client and the server-side functions. When client triggers a server-side function, it's known as server action. It sends payload back to the server using this protocol. The vulnerability is an unsafe deserialization flaw. Basically, the server trusts the incoming flight protocol payload too much without validating it. This allows an attacker to craft malicious payload and tricks the server into executing arbitrary code. Let me show you how dangerous is this vulnerability React to shells. Let's say I'm running a vulnerable version of Next.js that is 15.3.3, and this version of Next.js is vulnerable. If I navigate to localhost 3000, the sampled Next.js website will load. Now the hacker can try to modify the React flight protocol request, pass the malicious JSON payload. Like in this case, they can pass the child process and execute the ID command directly. And in response, the server will return the ID. They can also run the command like whoami and many things and many system internal commands that should not be allowed by the client. This is so dangerous that they can also read all the files if they want. It is so dangerous that they can modify the payload, and depending upon that, they can open a calculator within the system. If they also want, they can modify the payload upon their own need and inject memory web shells on the Next.js server itself so that they can run system command from the front end URL directly. The best way to avoid getting yourself hacked is upgrading to the patched versions. If you are running any of the React versions that's shown on the left hand side, then these are the vulnerable versions. You need to upgrade to these versions on the right hand side that has been shown. And also similar to React, if you are using Next.js, then you need to upgrade to this following latest patched versions that has been released. And also remember, this is not only limited to your personal project. If you use any kind of self-hosted application that use React or Next.js in the infrastructure, you need to also upgrade that self-hosted software. Otherwise, it can also help you get compromised. It's better to upgrade to the latest version. So that's all. Stay safe and make sure to upgrade. Don't get yourself hacked.